questions. One related to traffic issues and parking. Other one is like green energy. First, in developing and planning high-rise buildings, how are those traffic issue and parking considered in your design? The second one is energy and lead. Actually, lead is the voluntary, it's not mandatory. In California, we already have a Cal Green building code and energy code, which mandate developers and building owners to comply energy and Cal Green requirements. What are those similar requirements in China?
Parking in China is a problem actually because of the high density development within very dense development area. So what we are trying to do is to create an optimum number of parking that is facilitate the use of parking within the compound itself. That means in terms of sharing, time difference in the use, and internal generation of car park users within the compound. By doing that, actually we reduce a lot of external traffic requirement. But still, because of the infrastructure limitation, we do have a lot of these special arrangement for events like grand opening, major function, all these things. So special arrangement in terms of traffic is required to do that. Another thing is that to maximize the use of the space, we have employed a lot of double decking or triple decking sort of parking system in our project.
I remember, I think many years back, especially in Japan and other, maybe North America, you have this Cylon, kind of a circulated automatic parking, right? So to integrate into a development, it could be actually goes underground, really deep underground, maybe 20 meters, right? Same time, it could also form as a foundation for the entire projects. And at the same time, I think it actually has more in terms of space efficiency, right? And then, because today, even the many projects I work with, parking has always been a very difficult problem to solve. And when you solve the parking problem, you have other problems, like circulation, management as well. And also the space use are not efficient. And also, even with today's mechanical parking, I think it still only solve the tip of the problem. So I think with this Cylon, it's very effective. So this could be one of the thinking for future development in terms of solving the parking problem. Because I think I've seen really it's all fully automatic. You don't even have to drive your car. You just park your car there. Then you have this like a automatic system that brings your car down, to whatever level is available. It's all computerized.
Because I've spent a good part of my professional career in London and Dubai, and it seems that the kind of high-rise or super high-rise development that's happening in Europe is very different from what's happening in Middle East. As you know, in London, the latest one is the Shard, which is just about 300 meters tall, and that's considered the tallest building in Europe already. And it's a very built-up area. But we look at the context of China, especially in your building there, compared to what Pudong is doing. Pudong has a cluster of super high-rise, all kind of in a very small area. But in the northbound particular development that you have there, it's actually in a Puxi, which is actually across the Huangpu River, and it's actually in a very established old Hong Kong neighborhood. So in terms of the urban response, I mean, considerably, you look at Pudong, it's actually a new development area, but in Puxi, it's actually a very established old neighborhood or old town. How does your tower respond to the urban context in this respect? Thank you.
Okay, I think first of all, as I mentioned, the tower is not really, although it's the highest in Puxi, but compared to Pudong, it's actually is what we call Mickey Mouse, right? But for Hong Kong, it's quite unfortunately, although it's historic, it has a long history, but the entire district was not well run for a long time. And the entire, even though it's a lot of history behind it, but whatever you call it, the element itself, the fabric, city fabric, are not well preserved in terms of its totality. Unlike the French concession, the Ban, and some other places in Shanghai. And I think the tower is really to mark the spark off for the entire North Ban development. And I believe the government, we share this project actually started fairly early, way back in 06, beginning work in 08. Today is almost reaching its final completion, but there's still a long way. And as you can see, there's also a lot of development along the North Ban itself. Previously was all the some maybe docks and for shipping, and it's like a loading unloading area. So those areas now has been developed, and I think it does justice to the development in a way that not necessarily all things should preserve, but what is memorable, what is has value should preserve. So I think so far, what's happening in, I think you will see a fairly new, but I would say respectable district of Hong Kong in maybe 5 years' time, when most of the development, I think, started to complete. Thank you.
Okay, then last question. Please.
Hi, Alan Lee, Art Gallery Architecture from New York. You had expressed that some of these super high-rise buildings started out as just office, and now the trend is towards mixed use. But in New York, there's the residential, pure residential tower, kind of the small footprint high-rise are starting to creep up a little bit. Do you think that's something that would spread through Asia, China specifically? Or is it something that's just specifically for a city like New York, which is really dense and there's really not a lot of land use?
If I get your question correctly, you mean the pure residential tower as compared with mixed-use development? Oh, yes, yes. You see that the different uses have their different kind of requirements. For an apartment, you probably want to have views. You may want to have convenience. You may also want to have your own compartments, rooms and living rooms. All these things are quite different from, let's say, an office or a hotel. And in fact, putting them together is a big challenge. But however, if we look at a super high-rise building, you're talking about 500,000 square meter, that kind of a volume. And you put all these into a single tower. Actually, it becomes a kind of a city itself. Just like Central in Hong Kong. In a weekends, it's all dead. You only see the Filipinos there. You know why? Because all the offices are empty. It's lifeless. Nobody's there. You don't want to stay there. And therefore, all the facilities inside are wasted. Only you use it 5 days a week. But if you put all this together, actually it's another city of a combination of different functions. That the function grows. In fact, I would thought that even when you put in these three functions, they should be more flexible in such a way that you may actually be a home office. You may actually be a hotel where you entertain, or you put in other convention facilities inside. Now the super high rise becomes a city itself with different types of forms of living. and forms of entertainment, and it grows like that. I believe that there's no fixed combination, but I think it is really living, and it's growing like that. And I believe it is true, at least in China, but I don't know how it works in the States. Yeah, it's like an urbanization. Actually, we live closer together. We don't really travel a lot from place of work to a place of stay, but really we put together. Like Hong Kong, in fact, we are all integrated with bridges and underground, all these things. We need a density. We need a density to grow and then to work together like that.
Okay, maybe I could add on to that. Take Singapore, for example. Now we have, I'm from Singapore anyway. We actually now there is a solely high-rise residential tower, built right in the middle of CBD, and also there are existing office building, pretty tall, maybe about 40 story, are being converted into apartments. And historically, maybe like 40 years ago, the AIA building was an office building and it was a landmark building. Today it's transformed into a service apartment. So it's important that actually a city must have life. So, and this will, all these residential components actually should make part of the component of a city composition. Thank you.